There's no difference between you and a Buddha, a Jesus, a Mother Teresa, a Gandhi, or any great leader or person in the world, except they put their attention more on what was trying to emerge through them, more on what they wanted, more on a vision than most of the people around them. That's it. I'm coming to you today to talk about this very important principle of starving your fear and feeding your future. It really is the times of challenge and crisis where through the fires of transformation, our real character is forged and our deepest capacities and capabilities emerge. Like there is the jack pine that needs a forest fire in order to activate and crack open its seed pods and release its progeny and thrive and continue to evolve. And there are certain plants that need rough and rocky and difficult soil to activate enzymes in their bark so they can thrive in different climates and in challenging climates. They get to thrive where other species may not. We always have these kinds of challenges where the outer conditions, whether it's our physical body or our bank account or our business or the economy or relationships, are really tempting us to believe in lack, limitation, and loss. And we are gripped by fear. We tend to give the fear and the fearful thoughts and the fearful images and the fearful ideas of lack and limitation and loss a lot of our focus. Obviously, I want you to be a good steward. I want you to take good care of yourself, take good care of your family, do what you need to do to be smart. But if you're gonna have a fear or you're gonna have anger and you're gonna focus on scarcity, the only reason to focus on fear, lack, or loss or limitation is to understand the deeper message. Fear is a signal that you're believing a lie. The lie is pointing you to a deeper truth that you're meant to apprentice under. Anger is a signal that you've stepped over yourself in some way, or you've been stepped over, and it's showing you where your boundaries and healthy limits are, calling you to get stronger. So I'm not discounting our emotions, I'm not diminishing the conditions, but we have to understand a fundamental principle, and that is that energy flows where our attention goes. We don't get merely what we want. We get what we're interested in. We get what we're focused on. The universe does not know yes and no. It does not know I want and I don't want. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to go broke. I don't want this to happen. All that the principle or the law of creation understands is what you're focused on. Because the universe at root is not binary. It's not polarity. It's unity. It's one. There's one power. There's one power. And the whole power of life itself is focused on seed patterns or ideas. That's all there is. There are seed patterns or ideas, and all of life focuses on those seed ideas to grow them. We see this everywhere in nature. Life is always seeking to grow and to cause the emergence of the potential in every pattern, in every seed idea. And so that's the good news, right? There's really only one life, and it's really only got one purpose. The meaning of life, the purpose of life, is to show forth more life through unique, individualized ideas of life, called seed patterns or platonic forms. Now, the downside to this is we are in a reality or a conditioning of polarities, of duality, of right and wrong, good and bad, I want and I don't want, craving and aversion, pain and pleasure. And we tend to put a lot of focus on the pain, and we tend to put a lot of energy on what we don't want to happen. The problem with that is because there really is only one principle and one power, and its whole focus is on making manifest whatever pattern, whatever idea energy, our attention is focused on, then if you're focused on, I don't want to be sick, I don't want to be broke, I don't want my business to go down, I don't want to lose out, etc., etc., or you're focused on those bad people over there or that bad situation over there, the message that your mind gets, the message that the universe gets is manifest more of that idea, manifest more of that pattern. It's not personal, it's a principle. And again, I'm not saying to put your head in the sand or head in the clouds. I'm not saying to do a spiritual bypass on this and not see things as they really are. See the facts as they are, not worse than they are. Use that information though, whatever the information is, mental, emotional, physical, financial, relational pains or problems or appearances of lack, use that to get clear on what is wanting to emerge. What is the dream? What is the desire? What is your passion? What is the fire? Instead of focusing on what you haven't done, focus on what you have done. Instead of focusing on what you can't do, focus on what you can do. Instead of focusing on what you don't have, focus on what you do have, inside and out. Because what you focus on is what you get more of. Energy flows where attention goes. What you fuel and what you feed is what gets stronger, what gets bigger. Again, it's not personal, okay? It's not fair, it's principle. It's not fair that if you don't know how to garden, your seeds are not going to grow and thrive. It's principle. It's not fair that if you miswire your electricity, you're going to burn your house down or get electrocuted or your light bulbs aren't going to go on. It's not fair, it's principle. And when you see good people experiencing bad things or quote unquote bad people experiencing good things, it's not fair, there's a principle. What are they focused on? Two people are walking down the street, an angry activist and a really successful real estate agent or creator or developer, and they see an empty, dilapidated lot. The angry activist sees the poverty and the lack and the problems, and it makes him or her more angry, feel more lacking, see more problems. And the real estate developer sees an empty lot, the possibility of building a hotel or a business, and goes to work to do that. And in a year or 2 or 3 later, the real estate developer has created business, more jobs, more opportunities, more abundance for everybody connected, including themselves. And the angry activist is seeing more problems, more lack, and is suffering more. Now, that angry activist could notice the problem, but then you want to notice what is seeking to emerge. What do I want? What do I want the future to be? If right now, wherever you're at, you're experiencing lack and loss, or the fear of lack and loss, yes, notice that. But then ask, what do I want to create? What do I want the future to be? Right? You want to move from being merely a problem solver to a vision holder. We cannot solve a problem at the level of thinking of the problem. You understand? So as long as we're focused on there's not enough toilet paper or there's not enough whatever, or oh my God, things are going from bad to worse. As long as that's where our focus stays, more than just merely to identify what is underneath it trying to emerge. What do I want to become? What do I want to do? What do I want my future to look like? If we focus for that piece, that's fine. But if it stays there longer than that, now what you're creating, the thought you're thinking, the words you're saying, the actions you're taking are creating more of that. So you want to begin to ask whatever you're focused on, whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're entertaining, whatever your conversation is, ask, is this the result I want in the future? There's not enough to go around. It's crazy. It's the zombie apocalypse, whatever. Okay, I'm saying that now and I'm thinking that. Is that what I want more of in the future? The answer, I hope, would be no. Okay, but I know from principle, energy flows where my focus goes. Therefore, I notice that, but what do I want in the future? Who do I have to become to manifest that? What is my deepest heart's desire? What is the vision for my life, my family, my work, my business? What can I do? What have I done? What do I have? What can I be grateful for? When you focus on that, now the energy begins to flow where your attention is going. You start to feed and nourish that seed idea, that seed pattern. And it's a practice. This is why we practice. This is why we stop every day and sometimes every hour to take a breath and to ask, what do I want to create? Who do I want to become? What do I want my future to be? If this thought was to become my next moment, is that what I want? If not, move your attention to another thought. If these words that are about to come out of my mouth were to become my future, is that what I want? If not, shut up or say something else. And then if these actions are coming from a place of lack, limitation, fear, worry, and loss, ask, do I want that as my future? And if not, take a breath, reassess, get yourself back aligned with what you want, and then act from there. It's not magic. It's not magical thinking. In fact, it's replacing your wishbone with a backbone, because it takes practice, folks. It takes real practice to begin to manage your attention. And in fact, that's the only thing you can control. You cannot control the world of appearances. You cannot control even necessarily what's arising in this moment in your thought and in your emotional body. But what you can control is the dominion over your attention. You want to set your intention. I intend to live in a place of greater peace, greater love, greater service, greater creativity, greater joy. I intend to be an instrument, a clearer, purer, stronger instrument of life and love and liberty and truth. And now, where do I place my attention? The only free will is where you place your attention. And you have metacognition, which means it doesn't matter what programs have been running, what thoughts or feelings are going on inside of you, or even sensations in your body. You can actually step back, observe your consciousness, metacognition. You can step above it and see it, but not react to it. And then move your attention to where you want to place it. And it's going to be hard sometimes. If you've ever meditated, and if you haven't, I encourage you to start. You can be watching the breath, and before you know it, you're checking off your laundry list. Or you're watching the breath, and before you know it, you're trying to argue with your partner and win the argument. Watching the breath, it's like training a puppy, right? But every time you notice your attention strays, it goes to what you don't have, what you can't do, worry, doubt, fear, lack, limitation. And you notice that, and then you take a breath, and then you ask a more beautiful question. What do I want my life to be? What is my deepest desire? How can I create fill in the blank? And then you place your attention there, or you take a breath and you imagine or visualize something that activates a higher frequency. Every time you do that, you have just strengthened dominion over your attention. You have broken a little bit of karma, and there's a transmutational process that begins to take place. And over time, there is a transmutative or a transferring aspect to that, where you notice you can hold your attention where you want it longer, until eventually there's a new subjective groove that gets cut, right? Where you tend to be thinking, feeling, speaking, and doing things that are more and more in alignment with what you really want, with who you really are, with what life is up to as you. And lo and behold, you have now created the conditions that are congruent to that seed of potential planted in the soil of your soul, and it begins to blossom. You picking up what I'm putting down? You want to stop feeding your fear and fueling your future, fueling your fire, your passion, your deep heart's desire, and your heart's desire for your loved ones and for the world. You can do this. There's no difference between you and a Buddha, a Jesus, a Mother Teresa, a Gandhi, or any great leader or person in the world, except they put their attention more on what was trying to emerge through them, more on what they wanted, more on a vision than most of the people around them. And then they built the character that could hold that energy. Because your character determines your destiny, not your conditions. And your character is made up of your habits. Your habits are made up with what you focus on consistently. So today, make the new commitment to stop feeding your fear and start fueling your future. As it says in the Bible, to he who has, more shall be given, and it will be multiplied. To he who has not, even that which he has will be taken away. It's talking about attention. Are you focused on what you have? Are you focused on what you can do? Are you focused on what is happening? Good? Or are you focused on what's missing and what's lacking? Your energy flows where your attention goes. It's that simple, and it can be difficult. But you were designed to be a master of attention, a master at manifesting the glory of God, the glory of your soul, to glorify the true nature of your being. It starts with your attention. Pay attention, and you will have very good dividends on what you've paid attention to.